It's 5:30. I will call this meeting to order, and I will call regular agenda item number 2, and I will ask Mr. Perez to provide us with the appropriate information.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Please stand for the invocation. We have Pastor Bill Duke from First United Methodist Church leading us in the invocation. Thank you.
Will you bow your heads with me? Gracious God, creator of us all, been a time-honored tradition in ancient times where the leaders and the elders of a community would come together at this decades, would make decisions that would further protect the citizens that live within the citadels. I'm grateful for these leaders of our city mission. Bless the mayor, bless every councilman. And we pray again, Lord, that the decisions that are made will be made after each issue has been thoroughly heard and has been weighed. And we pray again that your Holy Spirit will allow us to see that the decisions were made for the common good of all. For this we pray in the name of Jesus Christ, who loves us, forgives us, and cares for us. Amen and amen.
Amen.
Mayor, leading us in our Pledge of Allegiance, we do have representing Sherland Advanced Academy, Victoria Basan, National Honor Society President, and Joseph Balderas, Student Council Vice President, with Principal Ivan Carr.
Mr. Carr, you want to step up forward also to... Thank you.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, and one and indivisible.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming.
Yeah. Is the preacher still here?
Yes. Yes, he's over there.
You all want to come up to the front so we can do a picture with Mr. Pastor? Our pastor's here. You want to come up front so we can together take a picture with the council for our history books? Congratulations. Thank you for bringing them over. Want to go here or? Over here. Right here. Here we go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Regular meeting agenda item number 3, Ms. Enriquez, please. Chamber report.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and City Council. So our Board of Directors has kindly requested participation from the City Directors to provide an update periodically for them to share what is going on in the Mission community. So we will kick off with the Recreation, the Parks and Recs. So we invited them for this board meeting, which is this week. And we will also be inviting, of course, the Economic Development to give an update on the area. This way we have a knowledge in all the decisions that we make for the City of Mission. The tourism update, of course, our meetings have continued, and then our official tourism page is up and running. It will be the Discover Mission. It's available on social media and Facebook, so we ask the community to please like our Discover Mission page on Facebook and share. And of course, if you get an invite from, that's probably us. So help us promote Mission. We will also be adding a billboard, a Discover Mission billboard along the highway, and that's going to be the second billboard here in the area. It's going to be on the highway in Holland. We're hoping to get one on Sherryland, and that one we may be able to get next January because they're on a yearly basis. We are also entertaining quotes for the billboards in Mexico City, so we want to go ahead and start advertising in the south area and, of course, in the north area, the north of the states. Upcoming ribbon cuttings, if you can join us this Wednesday at 5:30 for Tacos Yo-Yo, this Thursday at 10:30 a.m. for Brisas del Mar, and then lastly, the bridges at Mission, 10:30 this Friday. And that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Any questions by any of the council persons?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Enriquez. Regular meeting agenda item number 4, departmental reports. Any of the council persons have any questions that our departments or heads are here? If you have any direct questions or anything. If not, I can entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
We
Second.
have a motion and second to approve the departmental reports as presented here in writing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Regular meeting agenda number 5, citizens' participation. Ms. Carrillo, is there anybody that has signed up for?
Yes, Mayor, we have Ms. Adela Ortega, Social Services Director, who has signed up for citizens' participation.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, audience, directors. I'm real proud to introduce you today some wonderful women residents that we have here for 6 months. They reside at Chimney Park RV Resort. With us today is Dan and Patty Woodruff. You want to come over?
Y'all want to step up to the front, please?
They adopt families at our pantry for Christmas, and they have done it for 10 or more years, so they're wonderful. Dean and Linda Shutter, they're the managers of Chimney Park.
Yeah.
They did a fundraiser for the pantry. Well, every year they do a fundraiser. They're wonderful. They brought in a total, they're here from November to April, November to April, and they've already donated like 209 items of grocery cans and $1,170 cash to our pantry to
Thank
add
you.
to our inventory. So we have a wonderful support, and I would like to thank you in public and
Sure.
present our wonderful donors to our city council.
Let's bring him up for a picture. Y'all want to come around, so thank you, ma'am. Thank you for everything. Thanks for everything. Thank you for everything. Thank you for everything.
Thank you very much.
You want to move a little bit? Who's in the center of that? But face the camera so we can.
Okay, can you close, please? Thank you. Smile. Well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Huh?
Thank you. Yes, yes, thank you. Do we have anybody else, Ms. Carrillo?
No, Mayor, nobody else has signed up.
Before, I just want to let the public know, as well as the audience, that we are implementing this sign-in for citizens' participation instead of me having to call 3 times about citizens' participation. We're asking for you to courteously sign in and give us your name and address for the record, and we will give you the opportunity to speak on anything that you want to speak about that's not on the agenda, as far as that is concerned. Okay? Thank you. I would also like to notify everybody that I will be swapping the regular meeting agenda. Instead of going to 1.0 to the public hearing, Mr. Acevedo, we're going to ask you to stand by for us for a minute, and I want to call 3.0, Section 3.15, the agenda item, and I'm going to ask Chief Dominguez to come before us and present us with the information, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Item 3.15 is authorization to retire Police K-9 Tun from active duty and to have K-9 Officer David Gonzalez adopt Tun. Tun, a Belgian Malinois, was donated to the Mission Police Department in 2015 and has served the citizens of Mission for a period of 4 years. Dr. Michelle Fuentes from Mission Veterinary Hospital diagnosed Tun with a medical condition affecting his hind legs. His condition has deteriorated and he can no longer perform the duties required of a police canine, and we respectfully request authorization to retire Tun from active duty. Additionally, the Mission Police Department is requesting authorization to have Mission K-9 Officer David Gonzalez adopt Tun to care for him after retirement. Our staff and city manager recommend approval of this item. Again, it's hard to let go of some of these beautiful animals that come and serve us. And Tun was donated to us actually by George Foreman, former heavyweight boxing champion out of Houston, Texas. And he served us for 4 years. Unfortunately, he's developed this condition in his hind legs, and obviously we're asking for his retirement today.
I want to ask K-9 Officer Gonzalez, are you accepting the adoption?
Yes, sir, proudly.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hearing that, I will
I
entertain a
second.
motion in a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries, and it carries with honors.
I have a comment, Mayor.
Thank you.
3.16, Chief.
What? Where's he going? We need a picture.
Picture, guys.
We go down there?
We go down there.
Okay.
Here, babe. No shake.
I want him to meet Lebowski, my female German Shepherd.
Hey. He's like, I don't work for y'all no more. Hey.
Did you bring the treat? I usually work with my dog.
Stay. Because he won't pay attention without supporting. Pick up both ears. You look like you want that. Put that to him. Or you won't pay attention.
One more.
What is it?
You feel better?
Thank you.
He's like, yeah, right, para la casa. We have one more coming in.
Him and my Lebowski? I want
That's the
that.
high point of the meetings.
Huh?
High point of the...
Regular meeting agenda item 3.16, Mr. Chief Dominguez.
So cute. Oh.
going to be okay. You see how attached they get to these fine animals.
Mom, I'm fine, go sit down. Ahí viene el otro hyper.
We got another one coming in.
Uh-oh.
Another.
I'll start on that one. Item 3.16 is authorization to accept one Belgian Malinois canine into the City of Mission Police Department Canine Program through the Department of Homeland Security Transportation Security Administration Transfer Program. Caesar is a 4-year-old Belgian Malinois canine, was offered to our department through the TSA Transfer Program. Caesar is a trained narcotic dog. Mission Police Department canine supervisor and canine officers work with the canine, and he is a viable candidate to become part of our canine program. The staff and the interim city manager recommend approval of the TSA transfer.
No.
I move for approval, Mayor.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve 3.16. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Put him to work.
Younger and more agile and,
He's not aggressive, he doesn't bite. He's just hyper.
He's ready to get to work.
yes.
It's good.
We'll
Are we getting a picture?
take a picture with him afterwards.
At retirement, Chief?
At retirement,
Mayor? Okay.
He'll jump all over us.
Aw.
Well, do you want a picture?
Yeah, you just
Let's do the
scream.
picture, come on. We'll break him in.
Yes.
Yeah, ¿verdad?
Hey. No. Hey. Sit. No dicks. No dicks. Hey. See? Hey, sit down. Hey. Seats.
As you can tell, the TSA doesn't do obedience like we do. Come here, baby.
Hey.
All right, buddy.
Just don't take his foot.
Come on, turn around.
Caesar.
Which one are you talking about?
My first one.
What are the real Caesar?
Ross. Hey! All right, guys, don't think it's bad, but I'm gonna recommend it looks bad. Hey! Seats! Stay! Lost! No, sir. No, sir. Lost. No. Lost. Good loss. Good. No.
Sit. Stay. Back. Seats. Seats. Back. Stay. Stay. Stay.
Okay.
Hi, Caesar.
Sorry. He'll learn. I'll bring him back when he's ready.
Nobody's doing this.
Now he's sitting.
Nothing you and Nori would know, porque no fueron.
Bring him back up to kindergarten when he graduates. Regular meeting agenda item 1.0, public hearings, 1.1, planning and zoning recommendations, 1.1A, Mr. Acevedo, rezoning.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Item 1.1A is a public hearing for a rezoning of the north 5 acres of Lot 42, Bellwoods Company Subdivision C. This is from AOI, Agricultural Open Interim, to R3, Multifamily Residential, and the applicant is RT Real Investments LLC, in care of Frank Trevino. And if the council is inclined to approve this rezoning request, it would require the adoption of an ordinance. On February 13th, 2019, the Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing to consider this rezoning request. The subject site is located on the east side of Trosper Road, about 1,700 feet north of Mile 2 Road. The surrounding zones include AOI to the north and to the east. To the west, we also have AOI, and we also have public. We have Escobar Rios Elementary School to the west. To the south, we do have R2 and C2, duplex, fourplex, and residential neighborhood commercial. The existing land uses are agriculture to the north and the east. To the west, we have the elementary school that I just mentioned. To the south, we do have residential, and currently at the site, I believe there's also a residence. The future land use map does reflect the low-density residential, reflecting that R1 remains the best compatible use for the neighborhood. Rezoning the property R3 would appear to have a detrimental devaluation effect to the surrounding single-family residences. We recently did approve some R2s just south of the property. However, though, they were some existing apartments that already existed, so that is the reason why we approved those R2s just south of this. There was no public opposition during the P&Z meeting. However, the board unanimously recommended denial of the R3 and recommended in favor of the R1Ts, which are townhome single-family lots. Staff and city manager also recommend denial of R3, but are in support of the R1T development. This is a public hearing. Item 1.1A is now before you.
This is a public hearing. Anybody in favor or against the rezoning, please come forward. Identify yourself, please, for the record. Name and address, please.
Rene Barrera, project engineer for Mr. Frank Trevino. It's 6521 North 10th Street, Suite C, McAllen. I'm the project engineer for this development. Initially, the developer wanted to utilize multifamily, and since it's not in the current, land use programming, we do concur with the townhome zoning. We would favor that instead. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Okay. Anybody else in the public hearing? This is in favor or against this request? Anybody? This is a public hearing. Anybody in favor or against this request for rezoning? Again, anybody in favor or against this request? This is a public hearing. Nobody's approaching the podium, so therefore I close the public hearing, and I will entertain questions or a motion for ordinance 4767.
I move to approve the R1T zoning as recommended.
You have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 4767 as presented by Mr. Acevedo with the R1T zoning. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Ordinance 4767 is approved. Open on 1.0, 1.1B.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Item 1.1B is a public hearing for a rezoning of 21.632 acres out of Lot 204, John H. Sherry subdivision. And currently the property is owned AOI and C4, and the intent is to rezone the property to R1 single-family residential. The applicant is Domain Development Corporation in care of Meldon and Hunt, and if the council is inclined to approve this rezoning request, it would require the adoption of an ordinance. On February 13th, 2019, the Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing to consider this rezoning request. The subject site is located at the southeast corner of Business Highway 83 and Sherry Road. The current surrounding zones include C4, heavy commercial, and light industrial I-1 to the north. To the east, you have general commercial. To the west, you have C4, heavy commercial, and R4, mobile and modular home. And to the south, you have heavy commercial. The existing land uses are a mixture of commercial and industrial. To the north, to the east, we have commercial. To the west, we have commercial and residential. And the site is currently vacant. It's what's left over of the John Deere property. They're rezoning a portion of it to single-family residential and keeping a portion of it C4 heavy commercial. Meldon and Hunt is the engineer that's engaged in the development that's being proposed at this corner. And
There was no opposition. The Planning and Zoning unanimously voted in favor of the residential request. I'm sorry, there was one person, Mr. Billman, did oppose the property. His concern was both on the rezoning and on the drainage situation. However, drainage is something that staff is going to be looking into when the subdivision plat comes in. Staff is recommending approval, as is our city manager. This is a public hearing. Item 1.1B is now before you.
This is a public hearing. Anybody in favor or against this request? Please state your name and address, please, for the record.
My name is Diane Hope-Graber, and my address is 2017 Kelly Street here in Mission, Texas. I am the president of the board for Valley View Estates, which is the residential district that is just off to the west of this proposed zoning. As we said at the zoning meeting, our biggest concern is basically flood water. I have pictures of what it looked like after our past rain.
Thank you.
Also with me is Mr. Billman. Mr. Billman lives directly south of us, so whatever we have flowing through our park ends up in his area also. We're not really against the rezoning. We would just like to make sure that the drainage, retention ponds are done with the building. I hate for us to have another 11-inch rain and a flood, and then for the city to say, well, we should have done something, let's do it now. We are an above 55 park. Our average age of our citizens is somewhere between 70 and 75. So you're looking at a population that is not really that able to clean up from a flood. Many of them, the majority of them, are on Social Security, and that is their only income, which averages probably between $1,000 and $2,000 a month. So it would put undue burden on them to have to deal with this, any kind of cleanup or damage to their homes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. Anybody in favor or against this request?
Good evening, Council. Robert Demess, Melvin and Hunt, 115 West McIntyre, Edinburgh, Texas. I'm actually here tonight for Fred Kurth, who couldn't make it. We are very well aware of the drainage situation going on here and how it acted previously in the area, and we are in talks with staff already, and that problem will be addressed going forward. And when we get to final actual development and working forward, we will work with that and make sure that it's up to code, up to standard, and probably even above standard in this area to make sure that we don't cause any undue necessary problems going forward.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anybody in favor or against this request?
Yes, I'm Jason Billman. My family owns about 70 acres. We're located between Sherry Road and Glasscock Road, and we're south of this area, and this is where the water comes. Can I bring pictures up? What you're seeing there is two views mainly. One is a retention pond, approximately 5 acres, okay, and one is a lower area in the park we use to gather water and then move it to the detention area, okay. As you can see, the detention pond filled completely up during the rains. We have no outlet for our detention pond. Once water gets there, there's no way for us to dispose of it, okay. During the rain, I approximate that we had about 38 acre-feet of water move into that retention pond. That's about 12.3 million gallons. Okay? In the lower area of the park, we had about 8 acre-feet of water, which is about 2.6 million gallons of water. And that's how much water we took onto our property. Okay? We have, at our own expense, installed 4 drains and a drainage ditch, which we maintain, okay, to move stormwater that flows into our property. Currently, we are experiencing damages from any rain that comes in. I can't say from any rain, but any heavy rain that comes in a fast pace, we are unable to control now. Okay, and this is due to lack of drainage on the city's part. And this comes from 2 areas. First off, Valley View, when it was built, has absolutely no drains at all. There's no city drainage in that area at all. If you look along Sherry Road to the north of us, where the storage area is, that drainage system, if they've had any, is in a state of disrepair and is not being repaired. It is not up to the standard that 8 acres of concrete and building would require. It is unable to handle the water that is being placed on it. If you look at north of that property, that's where the bank was built. The foundation of the bank was built so high that now the property behind it, the water is forced either into Valley View or it's forced onto the storage buildings, okay? So that's more water that's being forced down onto us during any rain. And now we're talking about building another subdivision, and I understand that you're talking about being up to code and paying attention to the rains that are happening. I've been told this before. And my thought is we are already above our capacity. Any building, any streets, any concrete we adds to the problem of something that's already broken. And you're going to add to my problem, you're going to add to my people being flooded. And it doesn't matter if they build a 50-year retention pond and they restrict their water flow into the drains, it is still drainage that is not helping us. Do I have any questions?
This is a public hearing, sir.
No, I entertain questions from the committee if they want any. Anyway, so that's all I have.
Sir, thank you. Your time's
Okay.
up.
Thank you.
Anybody in favor or against the request for the zoning? In favor or against the request? This is a public hearing. This is a public hearing. Anybody in favor or against the request for rezoning? This is a public hearing. Anybody in favor or against the request for rezoning? I don't see anybody approaching the podium, so I'm going to close this public hearing and open it for discussion for any persons of the council. Any council members have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Do we have a motion?
Yes, my motion would be to approve the R1 zoning. It's my personal thought that when we have infrastructure put into areas as big as this will help the area around it. So I think it'll have a positive impact in the area. So that's my thought for that.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have motion and second to approve ordinance 4768. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Ordinance 4768 is approved.
Mayor, I have a comment.
Go ahead.
Mr. Perez, if you could please get with the residents that spoke and get them as part of the TESD project that we have for the drainage, so that way they can go and see the pictures that you took and you brought forth, and that way we can address their needs there in that area.
Absolutely, ma'am.
I've already made contact with them, and I will be also working on that too, with Mr. Billman and both of them, to make sure that we try to work on solving the situation of the drainage on Sherry Road, as well as the whole city of Mission. Not only, right now, we do have TETSI working on a project to do the needs assessment for our city of all the drainage, and then we're going to come up with a recommendation plan. But we do need to get direct feedback from you all, as far as, okay?
We'll get your contact information, ma'am, so we can schedule a meeting.
I want to call for 1.1C, conditional use permit public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Item 1.1C is a public hearing for a conditional use permit for the sale and on-site consumption of alcoholic beverages at Bayi Terrace Event Center. This is at 1509 Industrial Way, being Lot 5, Mission Business Park Subdivision. The property is zoned I-1, and the applicant is Balinda Bayi Catering, LLC. On February 13th, 2019, the Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing to consider this conditional use permit request. The subject site is located near the International Boulevard and International Way intersection along the south side of Industrial Way. Currently, Mrs. Bayi and her brother operate the event center at this location. The hours of operation are Monday through Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m., and most events do take place on Friday and Saturday. There's a total of 2 staff, and they do hire outside staff for any particular event. Parking and landscaping are existing and they do meet code. And this request is compliant with Section 6-4, which requires that no alcoholic beverages be sold within 300 feet of a church, a public school, a private school, a hospital. And there are also no residents within 300 feet of the event center. The types of activities that Mrs. Bailly will be hosting range from weddings, quinceañeras, Christmas parties, reunions, birthday parties, seminar, and business conferences. There was no opposition during the planning and zoning meeting. The board unanimously recommended approval. Staff is recommending approval for 2 years from the issuance of the TABC permit. We're also asking that they wet zone the property. Our city manager is also recommending approval. This is a public hearing. Item 1.1C is now before you.
This is a public hearing. Anybody in favor or against the conditional use permit? This is a public hearing. Anybody in favor or against the conditional use permit? Anybody in favor or against the conditional use permit? This is a public hearing. I don't see anybody approaching the podium, so therefore I'm going to close the public hearing and open it for any questions from the
Mayor, I
council.
move for approval.
Second.
For approval for both ordinances?
Yes.
And if that's the case, it's 4769 and 4770. We have a motion and second to approve both ordinances, 4769 and 4770. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Ordinance 4769 and 4770 are approved. 1.1D.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Item 1.1D is a public hearing for conditional use permit for the selling on-site consumption of alcoholic beverages at Beef Outlaws Bar and Grill. This is at 2714 North Conway Avenue, being Lot 9 of Northtown Number 1 subdivision. The property is zoned C3 General Commercial, and the applicant is Christopher Vargas. And if the council is inclined to approve this conditional use permit, it would require the adoption of an ordinance as well as wet zoning the property. On February 13, 2019, the Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing to consider this conditional use permit request. The subject site is located within a commercial plaza at the southeast corner of Conway and East 28th Street. Mr. Vargas is in the process of remodeling this location for a barbecue bar and grill establishment. The proposed hours of operation are Monday through Sunday from 11 a.m. to 12 a.m. A total of 9 employees will be manning the operation. There are 82 parking spaces that are held in common, and landscaping is also existing at the commercial plaza. Alcoholic beverages, this request must be compliant with Section 6-4, which requires that no alcohol beverages be sold within 300 feet of a church, public school, private school, or hospital, or hospital. There are some residents, however, within 300 feet. There are no churches or schools, but there are some residents directly behind or east of the property. So if approved, this will require a waiver of the 300-foot separation to residences. There is also a bar component that is associated with the proposed bar and grill. They have a bar setting. This is going to be similar to Ranch House Burgers. They're trying to mirror the image that Ranch House Burgers has established here in town. They also know the applicant, so they're friends of the people that operate the Ranch House Burgers. Beef Outlaws Barbecue and Grill is a family-oriented restaurant that will acclimate to this commercial location. Although there are 2 small bar settings, the restaurant is not open past 12 a.m. Since the sale of alcohol is not the primary intent of the applicant, staff does not object to the proposal. Additionally, we did send notices and we did not have any calls or complaints against the proposed bar and grill. There was no opposition during the P&Z meeting. The board unanimously recommended approval. The staff is recommending approval for 2 years from the issuance of the TABC license, and we're also requesting a 300-foot waiver of the residential in the area requirement. And we're also asking that we wet zone the property. Our city manager is also recommending approval. This is a public hearing. Item 1.1D is now before you.
This is a public hearing. Anybody in favor or against the conditional use permit? This is a public hearing. Anybody in favor or against the conditional use permit? This is a public hearing. Anybody in favor or against the conditional use permit? I don't see anybody approaching the podium, so I'm going to close the public hearing and I will open it for questions from any of the council persons or...
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
Can you show the diagram again, please?
The aerial?
The diagram of the floor plan. I'm just curious about that exit door on the side. Is that going to go to another lot, or is that,
No, there's like a backyard area, as you can see just north of the arrow. That building to the north does not extend all the way to the back.
right? But wouldn't that be onto someone else's lot? Because those aren't those subdivided?
Is there going to be a backyard bar? No.
It's, am I going to be using the name? Sorry, my voice
Go ahead,
is
sir.
up.
Go ahead, sir.
Chris Vargas,
Yes, sir,
2714,
Mr.
North Conway, Mission, Texas, representing Beef Outlaws. I'm going to be borrowing the lot next to them, just the backyard. The building doesn't extend all the way back, so it's going to be like an outside patio where the exit, I don't know if you want to go back to the other, that exit is going to give you a little, 20 by 40 outside patio where you can have the luxury to go order your food at the food truck. So it's going to be brick and mortar type of deal.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be using the neighbor's area.
He's going to have his barbecue area in the back, I do recall that, and I guess he's going to be leasing also.
I'm going to be leasing from the neighbors.
But you'll have a written document, right?
Yes, correct,
Listen,
correct,
that's-
correct.
That would be great.
Yes, we'll have it, we'll have something written down for y'all.
Are you going to have outdoor music?
No outdoor music. We're thinking of having some music inside. It's in the plans. We're still trying to get all the construction worked out and then kind of do some slow into it, and depends how the customers want and whatnot. And from there, but we are planning on having music inside, not outside.
Yeah, because you're right against the neighborhood right there.
Correct, yes. No music outside. Just going to be either go eat outside, order your food, come inside, but everything's going to be inside.
Make sure you include the buffer in the back, a buffer fence.
And that was one of the concerns that I had, because the barbecue pit is going to be in the back, and there is some neighbors directly to the back.
Yes.
We may be getting some concerns from those neighbors. As of right now, we didn't get any feedback.
Yes.
Mr. Acevedo, my only concern also, sir, congratulations on your business, but when you come with food trucks and all that, you have to come and bring it before us, because I think that we're not,
Yes.
that's like another issue.
I came and talked to them. I think it's, as long as I have it not on the wheels, it was okay with that. I've been talking to the planning. They said as long as I didn't have it on wheels and it's just kind of just on its base, that it would delete the fact that it's a food truck. It's just going to be pretty much
Be part of stationary and connected to the,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
going to be a
it's a
giant
smoker.
smoker, yes. It's going to be a
Okay.
pit, a giant pit.
yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Actually,
I will entertain a motion for ordinance 4771 and ordinance 4772.
One more question.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Because this is an on-site consumption, and so you have what's delineated in red, you're not going to have any alcohol outside of that area, which would be the outdoor area.
We're only considering the site that was presented to us at this time, yes.
Okay, are you understanding?
Yes, as long as it's inside,
Inside of the building.
TABC will also use the same site plan for the consumption part. Also, so
But it
make sure it matches TABC's consumption map when they get their permit.
But you see how it doesn't include the
Yeah,
outdoor
it doesn't
area?
include it currently, so I would say that any approval here tonight would only be for the interior of the building.
Right.
So they
So
cannot
that's-
have beer.
You will need to come back with the,
Outside.
They don't.
We need to come back in the future for the outside if he wishes to consume in the outside.
Right.
They got regular regulations for alcohol consumption, like
Okay, as long as that's clear,
Yes, we'll make that part of the condition of approval.
okay.
Any other question?
I'll move to approve, Mayor.
Motion to approve, do I hear a second?
Second.
First and second to approve ordinance 4771 and 4772. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries, ordinance 4771 and 4772 have been approved. 1.1E,
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Item 1.1E is a public hearing for a conditional use permit for a drive-through service window for a proposed restaurant. This is at 2211 East Griffin Parkway, Bean Suite 240, and this is of a 2.444 acres out of Lot 254, John H. Sherry subdivision. The property is owned C3, and Paris Bakery is the applicant. And if the council is inclined to approve this conditional use permit, it would require the adoption of an ordinance. On February 13, 2019, the Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing to consider this conditional use permit request. The subject site is located 300 feet west of Citrus along the north side of Griffin Parkway, 495. This is a commercial plaza that's currently under construction by Mr. Nicolas Elizondo, and he would like to offer 2 of the suites with the opportunity to have a drive-through window, both the suite on the east side and the suite that is on the west side. The suite on the west side at this time does not have a tenant. However, this particular suite that you're looking at is the one closest to Pizza Hut on the east side, and it has a tenant. Patty's Bakery will be moving into this commercial suite, and they are the ones that are requesting the drive-through service window at Suite 240. And the hours of operation are Monday through Sunday from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. A total of 9 to 10 employees will man the operation, and when completed, the commercial plaza will be compliant with both parking and landscaping requirement. The bakery's service window will allow for stacking of up to 3 vehicles, and currently they have a similar setup in Palmhurst, and there have been no issues at that location, but now they want to add another location here along 495. There was no public opposition during the P&Z meeting. The board unanimously recommended approval. Staff is recommending approval for 1 year to assess the new operation, and our city manager is also recommending approval. This is a public hearing. Item 1.1E is now before you.
This is a public hearing. Anybody in favor or against the conditional use permit? This is a public hearing. Anybody in favor or against the conditional use permit? Anybody in favor or against the conditional use permit? This is a public hearing. I don't see anybody approaching, so I'm going to close the public hearing and open it for any council person that wants to ask any comments or entertain motion for ordinance 4773.
More to approve.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 4773. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Ordinance 4773 is approved. 1.1F.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Item 1.1F is a public hearing for a conditional use permit for a drive-through convenience store. This is El Corita drive-through at 3300 North Inspiration Road, being Lot 1 of Gomez Estate Subdivision. The property is owned C3, and Edgar Ramirez Castellano is the applicant. And if the council is inclined to approve this conditional use permit, it would require the adoption of an ordinance. On August 22nd, 2018, the Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing to consider this conditional use permit request. The subject site is located at the northeast corner of Inspiration Road and 2 Mile Line. Different tenants have operated with the conditional use permit at this location for several years. Since CUPs are not transferable, the newest operator, Mr. Ramirez, is requesting a CUP at this location to be allowed. The days and hours of operation are Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. On Saturdays, he was proposing to be open until 1 a.m. However, staff is not recommending the extended hours. There was no opposition during the Planning and Zoning meeting. Staff did approve, or the P&Z did approve the item, subject to a 1-year period to reassess the new operation, parking lot to be ADA compliant, that the applicant resurface the parking lot, which has already been done, that they restripe the parking lot, and that we assess the outdoor lighting and landscaping requirements as well. Staff is recommending approval, subject to these conditions, for 1 year, and that the CUP not be transferable to others. Our city manager is also recommending approval. This is a public hearing item. Item 1.1F is now before you.
This is a public hearing. Anybody in favor or against the conditional use permit? This is a public hearing. Anybody in favor or against the conditional use permit? Yes, sir. So take your name and address for the record, sir.
This is the applicant, and he's asking if he's going to be allowed to sell till 1. I'm telling him that I'm recommending to cease all operations.
This is a public hearing, sir. It's your opportunity to state your name and the address for the record.
My name's Edgar J. Ramirez Castellano. It's going to be at 3300 North Inspiration Road. They've been operating till 1. I know previous owner that was there too. Reason is we're only allowed to sell alcohol with TABC till 1 due to the permit. And usually every drive-thru operates Saturdays only till 1, and Sundays not to be open till 12.
Is that it, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is a public hearing. Anybody in favor or against the conditional use permit? This is a public hearing. Anybody in favor or against the conditional use permit? This is a public hearing. Anybody in favor or against the conditional use permit? I don't see anybody approaching the podium, so I'm going to close the public hearing. And any questions from any of the council persons before I entertain a motion for ordinance 4774?
Mayor, I do have a question.
Go ahead.
So just to keep it with all fairness, so the business owner that operated from here previously was allowed to be open till when?
That's correct. We've had different hours of operation for different drive-throughs, and however, one of the things that we are looking at is maybe a standardization of drive-through hours so that they're not all scattered and they're more consistent. So that's why staff was recommending we start with this one and limit the hours up until midnight.
So my next question, Mayor, would be for the chief. Do you know if the previous owners, was there a lot of police reports or anything like that from the previous owners?
I know it's hard to put you on the spot, Chief, but
Without looking at the specific address, it's kind of hard for me to give you any information. This particular location, I remember having to go to it a couple of times because of concerns, not with sales, and I don't know if it's owner, but the female employees in their direct. That's what I had to address at this particular location. But that was like 3 years ago, so I don't know if it's the same business owner or not. But as far as alcohol-related calls for service or problems there, I don't think we've had any. Obviously, I would need to check, but I don't think so. Like I said, that's the only concerns that I had, and that's like 3, maybe 4 years ago.
thank you, Chief.
So Jaime, how many businesses that we have drive-throughs like this that sell alcohol through the drive-through? Because we have several in our town.
Yes.
And they close at 1.
Most of them close at midnight.
The one on 495 across from the other stand?
It's supposed to close at midnight. And then there's another one in Mission Acres along Business 83 before you get to Inspiration. That one also closes at midnight.
So most of them now have been closing at midnight?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure that, you know,
That we're consistent.
we're consistent across the board.
Correct.
And if there is some that are still open till 1, we need to readdress them.
Unless we want to change over to 1 a.m. in the morning for Saturdays. That's his request.
No, I just want to make sure that all the other drive-throughs in our area also close at midnight.
Yes, sir. We'll recognize you.
Yes, sir. The drive-thru you were asking about on 495, it's a speedy drive-thru, right? Okay, yeah, that drive-thru also closes at 1 on Saturdays. That's my cousin, the owner of that place. She closes at 1 too. And other drive-thrus around us, they close at the same time.
Yes,
So
I know,
that's
because I
what
passed by.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
So if we're not really enforcing these people to be closed at a certain hour, and that's the business that usually takes place in our city, like it's one or the other. So I would hate for us to give him the midnight, and yet they're going to stay open till 1 because they can, and then some do and some don't. And that's something that we got to look at. I don't know.
It's an enforcement issue. We need to look at that.
I would say that we, with this ordinance, allow him to open to 1 a.m. in the morning, and then from there, for us to have a workshop and determine that we're going to stick to midnight for Saturdays or 1 a.m. in the morning, as far as that is concerned. But that's my recommendation, that we allow him to open to 1 a.m. in the morning. Mr. Martinez, you have?
Yeah, if 1 a.m.'s fine, I mean, they're going to come back in a year anyway, right? See if if they have any issues, the chief will let us know, and we'll knock it back down to midnight. But, okay.
Ms. Garza, any comments?
I'm okay with that. Of course,
Yeah, we need to,
being that it's a 1-year conditional use permit, if there are any issues between now and the year, we could revisit it
okay.
as well.
So my motion, Mayor, would be to approve with Saturday closing at 1 p.m.?
1 a.m.
I mean, 1 a.m., sorry.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 4774 with the modification of 1 a.m. in the morning for closing as a conditional use permit for annual review. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 4774 has been approved. Ordinance 4774. 1.0G.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Item 1.1G is a public hearing for approval of an abandonment of .034 acres of land of the southern east portion of Block 4 Erdel subdivision. And if the council is inclined to approve this abandonment, it would require the adoption of an ordinance. On February 13th, 2019, the Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing to consider this abandonment of property. The subject site is located at the northwest corner of Holland and US Expressway 83. Mayor and Council, staff recently received a call from a property owner, or a visit from a property owner, Mr. Javier Romero, who purchased the property from the city back in 2015. What Mr. Romero explained to staff was that when he was sold the property, he was sold an additional 10 feet of right-of-way that existed there on the property. The plat showed 30 feet of right-of-way for an alley, when your typical alley only requires 20 feet. So when the city sold this transaction back in 2015, it did convey over an additional 10 feet of property to the buyer, Mr. Romero. However, there was no formal action taken back in 2015 to show the conveyance of these additional 10 feet. And that is why we're here today, just to kind of clean up something that should have been done back in 2015.
But this is a public hearing, am I correct?
This is a public hearing, and there was no opposition. We did notify the property owners. I did get one call from one of the property owners to the north, and he said that if he was still going to have an alley to get to his property, and the answer was yes. They're still leaving 20 feet, which is your typical alley, to have access to your property. So once he heard that, he was okay with the request, and there was no opposition. Staff is recommending approval of the abandonment, as is our city manager. This is the public hearing. Item 1.1G is now before you.
This is a public hearing on abandonment of .034 acre tract. Anybody in favor or against abandonment? This is a public hearing. Anybody in favor or against the abandonment? This is a public hearing. Anybody in favor or against the abandonment of .034 acre tract of land? I don't see anybody coming to the podium, so I'll close the public hearing and open it for discussion from the council.
Could you show that survey again, please? Okay. So what is going to remain is, can you point to what's going to remain?
The northern 20 feet is going to remain, just that, I would say, from there up, it's going to remain as an alley.
From where up?
From where the pointer's at. They're taking it, shows the 30 feet, which was what the plat shows, but when the city conveyed the property to him, they sold him an additional 10 feet, leaving 20 feet of alley.
So that big white square that has the 30 feet on the side, right, that's the actual alley?
That's a portion of it, yes.
That's, okay. And that alley doesn't have an exit? Is it a dead end?
The expressway's right.
It's got an exit to the expressway and an exit to Holland. However, the exit to the expressway will no longer be available because that is owned by Mr. Romero. So their only access will be to come in off of Holland.
I'm sorry?
Their only access for the 3 properties that are still left there would be to come in off of Holland.
That makes sense.
Okay, but I'm saying the alley, is it just a one, it's a dead end?
Yeah, it's just a dead end. It just goes up to the 3rd house and that's it.
And how do our trucks go in and out of there?
They access the other one on the north side. Their main access is through that particular, that's the front of the house.
Oh, okay, so there isn't a trash pickup?
It's an extra access.
It's like an extra access. A trash pickup is through where the pointer is at.
Okay, so our trash pickup trucks do not go use that?
No, that's just an additional access for the property owners to have.
Okay. All right, then it's not a real alley, it's just a access sort of.
It was designated as an alley on the original plat, but yeah, you're right.
Okay, all righty.
Callejon.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I move for approval
We
presented.
we have a motion to approve ordinance 4775 and a second.
Second, sir.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. A motion carries and ordinance 4775 has been approved. Consent agenda item, I would like to remind the council that on this consent agenda items, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4 can be asked to be pulled out, or we can approve it all together as a consent agenda item. What is the wishes of the council?
I don't have any questions. I move to approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve 2.0 consent agenda item, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 3.0, 3.1, Mr. Acevedo, preliminary plat approval.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Item 3.1 is a preliminary plat approval of Las Comadres Number 6 subdivision. This is a re-subdivision of a 40-acre tract of land being all of lots 9, 10, 11, and 13 of Block 3, Texas Garden subdivision. This is in our rural ETJ. The developer is Valley Caliche Products, Inc., and the engineer is Meldon and Hunt. This is located along the east side of Iowa Road, approximately a quarter mile south of Mile 3 Road. This is within the City of Mission Sewer CCN. There are 66 single-family residential lots, all exceeding the area requirements, and they will be connecting to an 8-inch water line located along Iowa Road for water services. The Planning and Zoning did recommend approval, and staff is also recommending approval, as is our city manager. Item 3.1 is now before you.
Who has the CCN for water?
The water is not Mission, it's Awasad, I believe. Yes, the CCN belongs to Awa Special Utility District.
Okay. Any questions?
Why is there an out parcel?
They did another phase, which included, this is the second part, but yeah, you're right, there is an out parcel to the north. That's the way that it's being proposed. There is a representative from Meldon and Hunt. Yes.
Sir, you're recognized to answer the question, sir.
The only reason is that they don't own the land in between. That's the main concern. So instead of doing two subdivision plats, we've done it, or it's been done in the past, where we can just do it on one.
Okay.
Any other questions?
That answers my question.
I'll move to approve.
We have a motion to approve the preliminary plat approval. Do I hear a second? We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 3.2, final plat approval. Mr.
Thank you, Mayor and
Acevedo.
Council. Item 3.2 is a final plat approval for Inspiration Heights subdivision. This is a 7.196 acres out of Lot 13, Goodwin Tract Number 3 subdivision. The property is zoned R1, and the developer is Aloy Chapa, and the engineer is also Meldon and Hunt. And this was located approximately a quarter mile north of Griffin Parkway along the west side of Inspiration Road. This is a development that has been recently completed. It's for 38 single-family residential lots. The City of Mission does provide water and sewer to this area, and this subdivision has been approved by the city. We have inspected it, and it has been completed to city standards. Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval. Staff is recommending approval, as is our city manager. Item 3.2 is now before you.
Any questions by the council?
I move for approval.
We have a motion and a second to approve the final plat approval. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 3.3, Mr. Silva. Resolution 1589, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Item 3.3 is approval of resolution amending Resolution 1284 by eliminating the number or the limit on personnel positions that can be employed and subsequently leased to the Mission Economic Development Corporation, and also by providing an effective date. Resolution 1284 limited the city to 6 personnel positions that may be leased to Mission EDC. Due to increased activity and the growth of the city, MEDC is in need of additional personnel to carry out the functions as delegated by Resolution 1284. This resolution eliminates the limit as to the number of personnel positions that can be employed and subsequently leased to MEDC. All other provisions in Resolution 1284 will remain in effect, including the provision that any such expenditures on behalf of these personnel leased to MEDC would be subject to budgets adopted by the City Council and further reimbursed by the MEDC. The staff and interim city manager recommend approval.
I move for approval.
We have a motion to approve Resolution 1589.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Resolution 1589 is approved.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
3.4, Mr. Gutierrez.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Approval of container use and service agreement between the City of Mission and BFI Waste Services of Texas, LP, doing business as Public Services of Rio Grande Valley. The agreement will facilitate all transition of commercial and industrial collection services in the City of Mission from Republic Services. The city will be removing and storing Republic Services commercial and industrial containers and replacing them with city-owned containers commencing after the approval of agreement through the services change date of April 1st, 2019. Republic Services will allow the city to move and store their containers and will continue to service the city containers located at commercial and industrial units that are presently serviced by Republic Services during the transition period. Staff and interim city manager recommend approval.
I move for approval.
We have a motion to approve 3.4. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 3.4 is approved, Mr. Gutierrez.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Good luck.
Good idea.
Yeah. Good luck. 3.5, Ms. Longoria, award bids for housing assistance.
Yes, good afternoon, Mayor and council members. Item 3.5 is award bid for Housing Assistance Program, HAP Phase 18-1. We have accepted and opened 5 bid responses for 6 homes. We are recommending to award bids to multiple vendors. Andrew Salinas, DBA A1 Installation for $294,000 for a total of 5 projects. 1206 Moorfield Road for $70,500. 2005 Thornton Avenue for $69,000, 325 Irma Avenue for $69,500, 3632 Lopez Street for $67,500, and 948 Chester Street for $17,500. The next award is to G&G Contractors for a total of $68,400 for one project located at 203 Oblate Avenue, $68,400. Both contractors have met all terms and conditions and specifications. The Citizens Advisory Committee met on February the 19th and approved staff's recommendation for these homes. Staff and interim city manager recommend approval.
Your motion to approve?
I'll move.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and this open it for discussion. And Ms. Ochoa, you're recognized.
Yes, ma'am. What is the reasoning behind giving it to 2 different people, and are these 2 different people that haven't been current builders of these type of homes?
Yes, they are currently builders of our homes, and the only reason that we do multiple vendors is because of the lowest responsible bidder. So therefore, Andrew Salinas, DBA A1 Installation, was the lowest responsible bidder for these 5 projects. And G&G was the lowest responsible for one project.
Okay, so they're not new to the city?
No,
They've
been consistently awarded bids here in the city of Mission.
Okay, and so did we get any new?
Yes, we did. We received 5 new bidders, and the bid tabulation is attached. They were significantly higher, and we did do a comparison with other cities, the local cities, Edinburgh, FAR, Harlingen, and Urban County, and these bids are within the range that we are awarding at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Garza?
Oh, I just wanted to make a comment that I'm glad we're going to the 2-bedroom, 2-bath instead of the 1-bedroom, bath.
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 3.5, the bids have been awarded.
Thank you.
3.6, Ms. Longoria, authorized to solicit bids.
Yes, the next item is authorization to solicit bids for Housing Assistance Program Phase 18-2. The Citizens Advisory Committee met on February the 19th and approved staff's recommendation to provide reconstruction of 6 homes and rehabilitation of 1 home through the CDBG program for the following addresses. We have 6 under construction. It's 319 Irma, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 970 square feet. 205 East Victory Street, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. 800 Cheryl Road, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. 117 East Victory Street, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. 1,100 square feet. 810 West 2nd Street, 2-bedroom, 2-bath for 970 square feet. And 824 Hidalgo for 3-bedroom, 2-bath. The rehabilitation project is on 4102 Rene Avenue, and staff and city manager recommend approval.
I move for approval.
We have a motion to approve item 3.6.
Second.
And a second. And this is open for further discussion. Any questions from any of the council persons? No questions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 3.6 is authorized for soliciting bids. 3.7.
3.7 is approval of change order for Andrew Salinas, DBA A1 Installation for housing assistance at 123 Quebec. This is a request for change order for housing project located at 123 Quebec. Due to unforeseen circumstances, an excessive amount of fill dirt was used to reach the minimum finished floor elevation. The change order is for $1,650, which is 3% of the original contract amount of $61,650, and is less than 25% cap allowed by the Texas Local Government Code. Total of the construction project would be $63,300. Staff and interim city manager recommend approval.
Do I hear a motion for approval? We have a motion and a second to approve the change order at 3.7. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign.
Is this the first change order they've had?
Yes. It is.
Motion carries. 3.7 change order is approved. 3.8 approval of change order.
Yes, this is another approval of change order for Andrew Salinas, DBA A1 Installation for housing assistance at 3935 Lopez. This is also a request for change order for housing project at 3935 Lopez. Due to unforeseen circumstances, an excessive amount of filled dirt was used to reach the minimum finished floor elevation. This change order is for $1,200, which is 2% of the original contract amount of $56,250, and is less than 25% cap allowed by Texas Local Government Code. Total of this project would be $57,450. Staff and interim city manager recommend approval.
Mayor, I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve 3.8. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a second, and this I open it for further discussion. I hear no discussion, therefore, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The motion carries. 3.8 approval of change order is approved.
Thank you.
3.8. 3.9, Ms. Vela.
Item 3.9 is the tax collections report for the month of January 2019. The total adjusted tax levy was $20,378,025.32, and total collections as of January 2019 is $17,317,670.62. This is 84.98% of the tax levy. Staff and city manager recommend approval.
I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve tax collection report, January 2019. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angie.
Thank you, Angie. 3.10, authorization to award bids for Mr. Salinas.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. I come before you seeking authorization to award bids for the purchase of water line maintenance supplies for the Public Works Department. The City of Mission has accepted and opened for bid responses for the water line maintenance supplies. Staff recommend award to Ferguson Waterworks, who is the lowest responsible bidder, meeting all specifications. Recommendation, again, is based solely on estimated quantities, and orders will be placed on an as-needed basis throughout the one-year term. Staff and interim city manager recommend approval, Mayor.
Mayor, I move to approve the lowest responsible bidder.
We have a motion to accept the lowest responsible bidder. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a second, and this I open it for any questions or to staff.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mayor. Robert, where are they from? Ferguson Waterworks.
Ferguson Waterworks, they're here located on Business 83, where US 83 meets.
And Inspiration.
Right in the intersection of Business 83 and Expressway, or I-2, yes. Yes, sir.
Have we used them before?
Yes, we have.
No other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The authorization to award the bid 3.10, Mr. Salinas, 3.11.
Yes, sir. Mayor, City Council members, item 3.11 is the approval to purchase ultraviolet parts for the wastewater treatment plant from a sole source vendor. Again, staff is recommending the purchase of parts for UV disinfection system from Xylem Water Solution, Wedeco Products as a sole source vendor. Ultraviolet system parts will be replacing non-working UV parts for the final disinfection process for the wastewater. Installed in 2006 and purchased from the same vendor. Attached, we have a sole source letter from the vendor, Xylem Water Solutions US Inc., Wedeco Products, and the description of the parts needed for this project. Staff and interim city manager recommend approval for the purchase.
I'll move to approve, Mayor.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second? We have a motion and a second. Before I call for a vote, purchasing, you're in accordance with the sole source letter, right? Okay, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of purchase.
Thank you.
3.12, Mr. Terraz.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I come before you to present item 3.12, authorization to award bid to RG Enterprises, DBA, G&G Contractors for the expansion of the Benworth Gym. We received 9 bid responses. The lowest responsive and responsible bidder, RG Enterprise and DBA G&G Contractors, in the amount of $409,000. Staff and interim city manager recommends approval.
Do we hear a motion?
I move to approve to the lowest.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
This is the company that's doing all the houses, right?
This,
G&G?
do we have a second?
Oh.
Do we have a second? We don't have a second to the motion? Then I can't open it for discussion.
All right, second.
Okay, thank you.
For the purpose of discussion.
Discussion.
Okay.
Motion and second, and this open it, now we can discuss it. Go ahead, Ms. Garza.
I know that we've been talking about this project for a while, but I didn't see the plans in our packet. And also, I'm just curious as to what is this contract is good for how many days? Is it 90 days, 120
We
days?
designed the project in-house, we did the plans in-house, and it's a 4,000 square feet building. It's going to include 4 classrooms and an office and restrooms. The contract is for 120 days.
120 days?
Yes.
I want to call the president of the Boys Club, Mr. Albert Peña, up to the mic, please, so you can add some more to the project, since they've been working for it for multiple months and maybe even years for the project, so.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. This is a project that, since day one that I became a board member or on the advisory board, that we saw a need for classrooms at the Benworth Gym. During the summer program, when we have kids at that unit, I was told that they had no classrooms or like tables and chairs to use. And so a lot of times what I was being told that they were being put in corners and sitting on the floor. And so myself and my fellow board members feel that this was something that we could bring and try to improve that site so that it also will become a full-service unit in compliance with the main unit that we have. So that would make that, the city would have 2 full-service units, which the only other one that I believe nearby would be McAllen in neighboring cities, so we would be on that same level. It's going to be 4 classrooms. It's going to have a computer lab and a arts and craft classroom. And I believe the main classroom will have a partition, so it'll be a bigger classroom. And can answer any other questions that you might have.
I also want to add that there is some shared funding for the construction part.
That was my next question.
Yes, we've done some fundraising for the project since day one. We've had our annual skeet shoot. We just completed our fourth one. And the majority of the proceeds that we've raised from that fundraising event is going to help with the project costs and purchasing furniture and equipment, computers, for the unit.
So what is the contribution that the Boys and Girls Club organization is?
What is the contribution?
Yes,
Dollar amount.
I believe we were
25%?
We were doing, 25 or half.
Yeah, 25 or 50%, somewhere on there.
Do we know? Does someone have that number?
Yeah.
Do we know how much is the total?
It was about 125, 150,000 that I recall, was it?
Yeah, I think that's, the numbers have kind of changed and stuff, so I think it was like 125, 150 maybe.
How much do we have this? We're going to be paying it with the bond issue for the $12 million, right?
That's correct.
How much did we have allocated for that?
This was a project that was allocated with the bond funds that we went out last year for. We did have a budget approximately about 500,000 for this project.
And what is the total cost of the project?
409,000.
And they came in
Just
at
for the
3.
building?
Yes, that's correct.
Turnkey project. Yes,
Turnkey
just for
project.
the building, yes.
Not FF&E?
Not equipment?
No.
Not equipment, no, ma'am, no.
This is a shell.
Putting this on hold, and maybe we can talk about it a little.
I have a question for Mr. Belmontes, whenever I can, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
So I understand that the contractor that bid is the lowest bidder, and we usually go with the lowest bidder. But from that, the second lowest is $20,000 more, but from what it was, 379 to 409, that's a significant amount. So are we for sure that this project is going to be completed without changing the orders and all of that?
We've met with the contractor, we've done our due diligence with him, and he's assured us that he can do the work at this price. Keep in mind, we also have a $30,000 allowance embedded in the 409,000. So, that's for us to ensure that we have that cushion in case something comes up unknown. Our engineer, in-house engineer, our staff have done a great job of speccing out accurately the design, so we don't foresee any major change orders.
Also, Mr. Chairman, if I may, G&G contractors that are not new to the city of Mission.
Are they here?
They did,
Yes.
yes.
Where are they?
Mr. Rene Garza. They did the renovation of the CWB back in 2015, I believe. Also, they did the hike and bike restrooms back in 2013. And also, they did the canopies at the Benson Park for us.
And they've...
And your name, sir? I'm sorry, your name?
My name is Rene Garza.
Mr. Garza, hi, pleasure to meet you. Thank you for
Likewise.
being here. I do have a question. So you've been doing services with the city for how long now?
I believe for the city of Mission, it's probably going about 12 years.
I think we need to move forward with the project. I think the moving forward with the project, because it's been a, I don't remember, at least, I would say at least 3 years since we started with this project already. And to delay it, based on we need to discuss it a little bit more. I think I would like to see it go forward and be awarded tonight, and as far as that is concerned, the project was originally started by they brought it to our attention to the city by a fifth grader from Sherry, from one of the elementary schools from Sherry, that had his concern that why was he shipped from Sherryland down to go to the classroom to go to a classroom, and that's how the project started. You know, as, from there, his first name is Corey, and I kind of named it the Corey Project, you know, as a result of that. And I think that we deserve to move forward with it. I think the staff has done diligency, and we've used the in-house people to save money, you know, to assist the Boys Club is pitching in their share, and I think we need to go forward with this project.
And just to add that he's always had sufficient bonding capacity on all of our projects, and we've never heard any concerns from his surety company in regards to any defaults of previous projects.
I have no problem with the contractor at all, whatsoever.
Yes.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Yes, there is a motion and a second. So I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries, and we're awarding the bid.
Thank you.
Thank you, staff.
Mr. Garza.
Mr. Garza, thank you very much. Thank you for
the opportunity.
Take it
Thanks
easy.
for being here.
3.13, approval of interlocal agreement. Mr. Terraz.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Item 3.13, approval of interlocal agreement between City of McAllen and the City of Mission for resurfacing Taylor Road. Resurface the existing pavement of Taylor Road between Expressway 83 and Uvalde, also known as Colorado Street. As development has occurred and the traffic has increased, the pavement condition has been deteriorating. City crews from both cities have been making minor repairs to the roadway, such as pothole patching. The City of McAllen will act as a lead agency and includes the pavement recycling services in their 2019 single machine repaving contract at an estimated cost of $98,078.98, where the Mission shall reimburse McAllen 50% of the associated cost, which is $49,039.49. Staff and interim city manager recommends approval.
I move for approval.
We have a motion and second to approve the 3.13. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
3.14, Ms. Munguia. Authorization.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Item 3.14 is the authorization to execute the first one-year renewal option with Deer Oaks EAP Services. This would be our first one-year renewal option with Deer Oaks. There is no increase in rates as per the original contract, and staff and interim city manager recommend approval.
Do I hear a motion to approve 3.14?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second to approve 3.14. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. You're authorized to execute.
Thank you.
Thank you.
3.17, Resolution 1590.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm coming before you to seek authorization to adopt a social media policy for our great city, since we currently do not have one in place. Item 3.17 would allow us to place that policy in the About section of our social media pages and also on our city website. So the policy is to allow for positive interaction with our city residents and aims to promote effective communication and a very courteous dialogue. The purpose of our social media accounts is to serve as a tool for communication of city news, our services, our great projects, and all our events. And we want to make sure to keep all our digital media sites as a productive forum for community discussion. Staff and city manager have recommended approval of our social media policy.
Move for approval, Mayor.
I'll second.
We have a motion and second to approve Resolution 1590. In this, I open it for discussion. I don't hear no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Resolution 1590 has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rox.
4.0, 4.1, rezoning. I would like to entertain a motion to untable the 2/11/19 unfinished business, item 4.1. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second to untable unfinished rezoning dated 2/11/19. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 401, rezoning, Mr. Acevedo.
Thank you, Mayor. With regards to item 4.1, Mayor and Council, this is an item that we have already had a public hearing on, which was closed. However, staff was instructed by the council to verify and ask to see that those who signed a petition that was picked up in opposition to the rezonings, to ask them if they knew that, just to find out, to see if they knew what they were signing. I did just that, and of the 8 people that signed the petition and owned property within 200 feet of the radius of the rezoning, these are my findings. 3 of the property owners submitted something in writing citing that they had no objection to the rezoning request. 2 of the property owners expressed to me over the phone, and some of these people would call me back. I would go out there and there was nobody there, and they would call me back sometimes after hours. And those people did express to me that they are no longer opposed to the rezoning. They expressed to me that they would rather see a single-story R3 development over a 2-story R2 development. They expressed that they were told that by signing the petition, it would limit the number of units that could be built to only 4. This is true if the property owners would leave the property as is and not subdivide it. But if they subdivide the property, it could allow between 12 and 16 units, with variances, of course, because of the shape of the lot. 2 people remained opposed, and 1 person could not be reached. In summary, of the 8 people who were in opposition, my verification concluded that now only 3 people remain in opposition. 3 of the 22 property owners within the 200-foot radius equates to 13.6%, which falls short of the 20% which is required for the petition to remain valid. What I gathered from my verification process was that the typical citizens is not too familiar with the rezoning and with the planning processes that we have in place. We that work in government know what a rezoning is, but others out there that aren't really affected by it don't really know what the process entails. So in most of the cases, I found that these people really did not know what they were signing. It was not explained to them. Most of the issues that were on the petition itself were issues having to do on city issues, not necessarily as a result of the rezoning. These are my findings. Staff is recommending approval of the rezoning from R2 to R3. Our city manager is also recommending approval. Item 4.1 is now before you.
Do I hear a motion to approve ordinance 4776?
So what did the petition do? This is a legal question. It solved what exactly?
With the petition being in place, it required a supermajority for the rezoning to pass.
To pass.
With the rezoning, with the petition not in play, the planning and zoning did recommend approval, so it would need a supermajority for it to be denied.
Okay, so you declared the petition under 20%, am I correct?
That is correct.
Okay, for the record.
For the record.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the rezoning as presented?
I move to approve, Mayor.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'm going to second, Mayor, but I have concerns about the drainage, so they're going to have to come to the P&Z a lot, and we're going to be on this.
We have a motion and a second, and the discussion is that the drainage needs to be assessed when they come.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm sorry, for a point of order, you can't, there are no conditions on a rezoning. You can't.
I accept the point of order, and I stand corrected.
You can check with.
No, I stand corrected,
Well, let me rephrase that. I'll be very, very interested in how the drainage is completed and done. So as a citizen of this city.
That's correct. And I did assure the residents that I called that our city engineer would be looking at the building permit when it does come in. And another thing that we're going to be looking at, not at the city council level, but at the planning and zoning level, is that every plan that comes in with more than 4 units has to go through a site plan approval process.
I was going to say that. The rezoning requires the site approval.
So
also because of the size of the project.
Correct.
So.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Will you, when you see the site plan, will you recommend that there's a fire hydrant closer to the buildings, or is that not something that you can implement at that time?
We don't require that, but the fire marshal can request a fire hydrant.
Fire marshal has to review the site plans.
Wondering where the closest fire hydrant is in that
There's
area.
going to be like a good 30 feet.
Yes, and we've already worked on the new standard for fire hydrant placement. Am I correct, Marshal? Yes, the new standard of 300 feet. Or this will be in Highland Street, so that the 300-foot may apply. I know you'll review the site.
And how are you going to put a fire hydrant within the one lot?
But you understand, Chief, that if you put it on...
Right now, we have to, based on your point of order, I need to adhere to that this is a rezoning, and we need to keep the discussion to the rezoning.
I'm just bringing up the possible scenarios.
Yep.
I would not make that a condition.
Yeah, so. Any other discussion on the rezoning?
No. What's going to happen to the alley?
The alley is currently being repaved by the city, but I was almost going to recommend that we wait until the construction, if the construction happens, we might want to hold off on the repaving of the alley because it's likely that it's going to get torn up with construction.
That's a good point.
And maybe there can be some use of the alley in terms of parking to alleviate any of, well...
Right.
There should be...
Not access.
Yeah, access.
Okay. Ma'am, I'll let you speak, but it is not a public hearing, so,
Well, I got a letter that says a public hearing.
Mr. Acevedo, can you clarify that?
We did notify the residents that there was going to be, that the item was going to be voted on, but I don't recall if it said public hearing on there.
She said that she was,
On the paper I got.
It's okay, she can.
yeah, you still can talk. The chair will recognize you, ma'am.
Amelia Gaitan, 1019 East Town Landry Street. I'm the property owner on the south side of this zoning that you're trying to vote on. Mr. Acevedo, I'm asking you, you told me that on R2, they could build two-story buildings? What, and on R3, they can't?
They can also build them on R3.
So what's the difference? If they can build anytime they want, they can build two stories.
The difference is that if you approve an R3, the likelihood is that they're not going to go two-story. If you do it as an R3, they can keep it at one story.
But you can't guarantee me that.
I can't guarantee anything, but it is going to go through the Planning and Zoning Commission where we recommend for or against it through the site plan approval process.
And was this explained to everybody that you said you went and talked to? One that I called you late when I got home?
I explained.
Yes.
Because you didn't explain that to me. I had to go into the computer and see what it was. And it's showing me that at any time, they can go in and make two-story buildings.
It's a public comment, so...
And I don't think so. And if
I
you
think-
went to my
ma'am,
house,
Ma'am, you need to address the council.
Sorry?
You need to address him.
if
He
you went
says-
to my house, you would have seen the apartments in front of my house in the shitty style they're in right now. I've had to fix my tires several times because their fence is falling down.
Ma'am,
I've already...
address the council, please.
I'm sorry.
Okay?
Mayor.
If not, I'm going to cut you, okay?
I'm sorry.
Address the council, please.
But anyway, the city, once this is done, to me, it seems that you don't care anymore. Because those apartments in front of the house, it's supposed to be beautiful and everything. You go right now and you see them, how the fence is. They use my property to throw the trash in. That road is not an alley, it's my drive-through. Because of all the shitty zoning that's been going on there, they closed the road that we went in, and we had to open, my father had to pay to open that little street, which everybody thinks it's an alley. So I do not approve it, and I hope you all don't either.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate your comments. This, I'll open it for discussion. I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed, same sign.
No. Read it, Mr. Plata.
3-2, it passes. Ordinance 4776. 5.0, 5.1, interim city manager's comments.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I would like to invite the public and everyone here to our first family wellness bike ride on schedule for Thursday at 6:30. It will be taking place starting at Leo Peña Placito Park, and it will be on Conway to First Street and then to 495 and back. It's a family wellness event for everyone. Is invited Thursday evening at 6:30. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. 5.2, mayor's comment. I'm gonna pass my mayor's comment to Angie, so you can give us an overview of the workshop that we missed this afternoon at 5 p.m. Just a quick brief overview, so I will, since I know you were prepared.
Yes.
And I apologize for not having the workshop at 5.0.
Yes, let me hand these out real quick.
So there was a workshop or there wasn't a workshop? Here.
So I just quickly, this is for general fund informational purposes only. I don't know, maybe we can turn the lights a little off because it's not that clear. Oh. Up front. Oh. So it's a listing of all the departments, and this is our expenditures from the months of October, November, and December, and I kind of just highlighted in yellow the three top departments that are already, the three highest percentages, and then in green is the lowest department with as far as expenditures go. And I'm going to go through those really quickly just to kind of explain what's going on in those departments. We have the fleet maintenance department. They're at 88.20% already of expenditures, and that's because they encumber the full year's worth of repair and maintenance as well as tire services for the year. So from that encumbrance, $751,385.88 and $112,012.08 is money that's encumbered but hasn't been spent yet. So without those encumbrances, the department variance is actually at about 28.24%. So they fall kind of in line with the average. And then with risk management, they're already at 64.34%, but that department pays for the insurance premiums that we have for the city, and those insurance premiums are paid at the beginning of the year. The budget for those is 59% of the department's budget, so they've already spent that big amount of a percentage, and that's why they're up at 64%. And then we have parks, which is at 42.43%. They also as well have a big encumbrance of $901,700, which is the city's share of the Birdwell Tennis Project. At the end of this quarter, they still had $793,000 of that unspent. And so without this encumbrance, department variance would only be at 19% for the first quarter. So they fall in line with other departments as well. And then finally, our lowest department variance is the recreation. They've only spent 11% of their budget, but this is because they have a big budget of the summer help that we do, which doesn't get expensed to the final quarter of the year. That's about $120,000 of budget that's reserved for summer help and for all the recreation programs when we hire the temporary workers during the summer. And that's the breakdown we have, and that's for general fund.
Any questions or anything?
So what was our total expenditures as of 12/31/18? 9 million?
The 2.7 million at the bottom, it's 26, I'm sorry, yes, the 9.5 million is our total expenditures, and the 2.7 is what we've had encumbered. So that 2.7 hasn't been spent yet, but it's been encumbered by the departments, such as, big projects or department expenses that some departments open up blanket purchase orders for a quarter or for a month, and so that's what those encumbrances make up. So for the whole quarter, we're at about 26%.
So there was 9,531,000 in revenues?
In revenues, we have right at the top 9.9 million. the very first line.
So if it wasn't because of the $2.7 million, we would have ended up the month with 530-something thousand?
Yeah, the quarter, the first quarter. Yes, because the encumbrances, they're there, but we haven't expensed them yet. They're for future months.
So it's money that is allocated or is being approved for projects?
Yes, it's being assigned.
So we would do those projects now. We would use the 2.7, if we would have used the money by the end of December, fund balance would have been $500,000. Am I correct?
Without the 2.7, yes, yeah. Well, this is just for the year, kind of like our net income would be the 500,000. We would still have our fund balance on top of that.
And how much would that be?
I believe our fund balance, we estimated that it would be 3.7 at the end when we're doing the budget, so the 3.7 plus the 500,000. That would have been,
Which would probably raise it 3.8.
yeah. For the general fund.
Yes.
For the first quarter.
Thank you, Ms. Villa.
Mhm.
Any other questions, anything? You going to talk about the revenues or?
Yeah, I also attached revenues as well, and that was just kind of what we did at the last workshop. I didn't go over them, but I did highlight for you the revenues that are underneath 20%. And most of that is due just to timing, because a lot of these revenues, we might not get at the beginning of the year, we get them throughout the year, such as reimbursements and stuff like that.
So those 9 million at the bottom matches the 9 millions at the top, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
That's it. Call for 5.3, City Council. I'll start with Mr. Martinez. Any City Council comments, Mr. Martinez?
Nothing, Mayor. Thank you.
Ms. Garza?
Actually, I have a question for Jaime. Jaime, do you know when the last time we visited the future land use map?
The last time was in 2010.
2010?
It's long overdue.
Mayor, I'd like to suggest that we maybe I think the last time we did it in...
It was a
back
collaboration
then
between the
was,
P&Z and the council.
Yes, and I think we did it in 4 different quadrants, so we met 4 times to review that. I'd like to see us do that again.
Can you come up with a plan on how to handle it for next City Council meeting?
Sure, we can do
And
that.
put it on the agenda so we can be able to schedule what we need to schedule there.
One of the things that we were looking at is maybe our neighboring city of McAllen does it, where they go a little bit beyond their city boundaries and also include territories, I think they go 1 mile in their ETJ, that they also include in their future land use map. Maybe that's something we could also incorporate.
That would be a great idea.
Thanks. We'll do that.
Yeah.
Mr. Blood? No comments, Mayor.
Yeah. Ms. Ochoa?
I would just like to give a big high five to the Chamber of Commerce. I, over the weekend, went to the Winter Texan Fiesta, and I was really surprised with how many people were there, and that was amazing. I thank them for all their hard work and dedication to promote and have that type of event be so successful.
That same weekend, that same Saturday, we actually had 4 major events that happened in the city. There was a 5th one, but I won't talk about the 5th one. But the 4th one, there were 4. One, we had a big hike and bike trail that at 6 a.m. in the morning, a walk or a run having to do with heart. There were over 300 people. We had cars all over the place in FM 1016 South Mission. And then after that, at 8:30, we had a competition at Royal Technology also. That had over 300 students that were competing from Brownsville to Zapata as far as for state competition. It was a semifinals event for Royal Technology on robotics. And we had the Mike Possum the astronaut that visited, plus we also had Julian Alvarez, the commissioner from the Texas Workforce Commission, and they had, Royal Technology had their brass came in from Massachusetts also. So that was a great event. At the same time that the Winter Texans is the one that you were, that happened at 12:30 also, and at the same time, the Lions, the Mission Lions had a downtown Leo Park also event also that turned out very well for it being the first market day. You know, it turned out well, even though it wasn't the exact date that we had scheduled it originally, that the Lions had scheduled it, because it rained out. They moved it over, and it turned out very well as far as that for a start off, and we're going to have some more on the way. And I want to echo what Mr. Pettis said about the invitation for Thursday, the first ever wellness bike. And if you don't want to ride the bike, you can walk. And if you don't want to walk and you want to run, it's pretty much an equivalent to about a 5K run. So just that's at the end of the day, that's what's going to be. And then afterwards, we're going to get together at the park to just a family day to let the families come out and to downtown as far as that is concerned. So without further ado, does Ms. Ochoa has any second comments?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Okay, then I will entertain a motion for 6.0 executive session pursuant to VTCA Government Code Section 551.001 to address 6.1A, 6.2A and B, and 6.3. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will return back after the executive session.
I'll move to reconvene.
We have a motion to reconvene under executive session pursuant to VTCA Government Code Section 551.001. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And as all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. We reconvene. We'll call 6.1 and 6.18.
6.18, motion would be to move to hire myself, Bob Galligan, and the firm of Jones Galligan, Keen Lozano, to represent the city in this matter.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries with the addition that what we discussed in executive session goes on 6.18. 6.28, my understanding, you want to deliberate on it, Mr. Pettis?
Yes, Mayor, we will continue with the process on the in-house attorney until we do have the next meeting. We'll get an update on that position.
So no action is needed, am I correct, Mr. Attorney?
That's correct.
Okay, I'll call 6.2B, and I'll deliberation regarding the appointment and employment duties of the city manager's position and matters incident thereto, and I will recognize Mr. Gus Martinez.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll make a motion, Mayor, to give the permanent city manager position entitled to Mr. Randy Perez. The contract length and salary will be negotiated and disclosed at hopefully our next meeting. There will be a standard 6-month probationary period, so we'll, in a sense, reevaluate that in 6 months, but we have every confidence in Randy. And so I make this motion.
Second.
We have a motion, second.
We need the motion to authorize the mayor to negotiate the terms.
Included in my motion, Mayor, is to have you be authorized to negotiate the salary and length of the contract.
Second.
We have a motion and second to have Mr. Randy Perez as a city manager of Mission with no acting or interim or anything precedence. And congratulations, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I know it's not on the agenda, but I want to ask him for a little speech. Mr. Perez, you have the floor.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Go ahead, Mr. Perez.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I just want to thank the mayor and the council for giving me this opportunity. It's truly a blessing to serve in this capacity for the city, and, couldn't do it without the help of our great directors that I have, so thank you, Mayor. I will continue working hard for this city and, putting Michigan in the forefront for everything that we do, and I think we have a great team here in the city of Mission, a great community, and look forward to serving. Thank you.
Mr. Martinez, I recognize for 6.3.
Move to adjourn, Mayor.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.